Everyone thinks of something different when they hear about genetically modified foods. Thinking how these foods are being brought up and grown can be unsettling to some. What is being done behind the scenes? The growing process of genetically modified foods is not as simple as it may seem, but also not as dramatic as everyone may think of when they think of genetically modified foods. According to Rich Keller, genetically modified foods were first introduced 20 years ago, and according to the ISAAA, there is only a few direct consumptions of genetically modified foods being grown. But genetically modified crops have increased rapidly in the last 5 years. According to Deborah Whitman, researchers developed genetically modified foods to create an advantage to the producer and consumer of genetically modified products. With the advantage, there can only be a new product having a greater overall benefit and can be sold at a lower price. The original genetically modified food development was to enhance crop production, such as modifying a plant to stay fresh longer or to be resistant to diseases. The reason for genetically modified foods was because nearly 40% of the world's food crop were being lost every year to insects, fungal diseases, and spoilage. By genetically modifying plants, the overall worldwide crop yield dramatically increased. With genetically modified foods, it solves problems such as poverty and malnourishment. Genetical modification is still being expanded to a whole other horizon. As stated by James Randerson, contamination between genetically modified foods and non-genetically modified foods is a serious factor. So genetically modified foods need to be a certain distance away from non-genetically modified foods. With the new generation of genetically modified crops to make drugs and vaccines, it may become dangerous because of the distance of where each crop is being planted and exchange in genes. Recent studies show that researchers are working on foods that can be altered to be used as medicine and vaccines. Researchers are trying to make bananas that protect against hepatitis B. According to Professor Paul Gumps, pollen and seeds are carried by the wind and animals, birds and machinery. It is hard to avoid contamination in these crops. The only real way to avoid contamination would be an underground greenhouse to prevent pollen escape. Everything is being done to food is for the better of people. There may be a few glitches in process of producing genetically modified foods and health effects, but if it does help, there should be hope for the better of people. It may take time, but they will figure out how to do it right without any flaws.